and just kind of framing it for me here.
Yeah, sure. So I just started working with a company. It was formerly called Trilogy Education Services.
Okay.
And they just got bought out by a private or a publicly owned company called 2U. And what they do is they partner with universities all across the country, and they offer these technology boot camps. So the first college they partnered with was like Rutgers, and Rutgers partners with them, and they do like a rev share kind of deal where my company, which is now called 2U, provides the entire experience from the instructors to the curriculum to the admissions process. And basically Rutgers, for example, would just provide the facility and the location of where they would hold these boot camps. And these boot camps are like part-time or full-time. Part-time's about 12 weeks. Full-time's about 12 weeks, and part-time's about 24 weeks.
Okay.
And then basically, right now they're just technology-driven courses. So there's digital marketing, there's data visualization, full stack web development, cybersecurity, and I want to say like one other. And basically what these universities allow us to do is they allow us to use their domain, their EDU domain, and then we can build a subdomain off of their domain. So for example, if you go to like bootcamp, if you go to something like this, if you go to a site like that, that kind of gives you an idea of the technology or the bootcamp classes that we offer. But my question to you was...
Hold on one second, sorry.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, your question.
So my question to you was, when I first got on board, I just, like I said, I just started maybe like 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
When I looked at all the sites across all the universities that we partner with, all the content's pretty much the same. It's like pretty much duplicate content across the entire board. And, you know, the higher ups like believe that it's because it's an EDU domain. That's why we're getting away with it. And it's like, you know, I know that EDU domains are treated more favorably in Google, but I think that's a risk to assume that.
What do you mean? Sorry, to clarify, what do you mean by getting away with it?
Well, just the fact that every single one of the bootcamp sites for every university pretty much has the exact same content across all the subdomains. So if you go to the Harvard one, if you go to the Miami one, if you go to the California Irvine one, Denver one, it's all pretty much the same content. They really don't. It's not unique in any way or form, shape or form. So,
but when you say getting away with it, you mean that there's so I guess
they don't think that we need to have any unique content.
Well, you might not, right? So I mean, it all depends on what the goal is. Like, for example, if these are just landing pages that people are pathing through organically from the website,
right?
It doesn't need to be unique, because my argument, which is probably theirs too, is that the level of effort to write all that content unique for all these different sites at scale,
right.
is going to be a mission. The only downside to not having unique content would be that these pages aren't going to rank in organic search. So if somebody is looking specifically for, it would have to be branded too. So if somebody was looking specifically for, you know, like bootcamp, let me just look at the keywords on the page that you gave me here.
Sure.
So like if somebody was looking at searching for like UC Berkeley, like UX UI,
right.
It might not rank. And again, this is just something that you'd want to test, because if this content is duplicated, then Google might just choose not to index it. So that would be the only downside. So when you say getting away with it, I think that's kind of a slippery term, because it depends on what your goal with these is. Again, like I don't necessarily see these as having to rank, because these websites have so much traffic. They have so much branded search. Like if you're searching for you don't need Harvard's website to rank organically because it's Harvard. You know what I mean? Like people are going to be looking for that stuff no matter what, and they can just path through the website. Right. I guess the question is that how are you guys using these pages? Are you driving traffic to them, or?
Yeah, that's the whole goal, because that's the challenge. Like Harvard isn't exclusively promoting
That's what I figured.
subdomains, because these are not accredited courses, right? So they can't use them for college credits. So we can't really promote to current students. We can more promote to like alumni, and then obviously people that are living around the campus area. So like that's what I was the example I was giving you. Like Joe the janitor is really our target, who wants to change his life. He doesn't want to be a janitor anymore. He
Yeah.
wants to be a full stack web developer. So we
And,
definitely are trying to get that organic search, and the sites are indexed, and they do got some visibility with the keywords and stuff.
yeah.
Curious if, you know, we keep writing the same content across all these domains. Are they going to, I don't know.
So here's what I would recommend. So I would focus number one on ranking your, like these websites aside, I would just treat them as such. I would treat them as, just if somebody paths through the Harvard website and they happen to land on that, or they happen to land on it organically, that's more benefit to you guys, right? But at the end of the day, these aren't Harvard classes, right? They're just hosted at Harvard.
Right.
So you guys are really getting away with something that's, I don't want to call it sneaky, but it's pretty sneaky. You know what I'm saying? Like if these aren't Harvard classes just hosted at Harvard, I think it's awesome that they even let you build that on their website. So I would just call that a win in total. And I wouldn't focus on building too much, effort around that. What I would do though, is I would use them as link sources for your website. So for example, if you can get custom landing pages built out on all these different .edu websites, that's a tremendous asset for you guys and I'm looking at the domain. I believe your domain is training2you.com, correct?
It's, what is it?
Training2you.com.
Training to you? No. Are you talking about the company that it's called trilogyed.com.
Trilogy Ed. So let me take a look at your website.
We're in Boca. I live.
I saw your 954.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So what I would do is I would use those websites, those .edu subdomains to link back to the Trilogy website. Are you currently doing that?
No, because I don't know if they want to do that. I don't know if because like Trilogy is kind of like behind the scenes of all of this, right? And the main benefit is that like you're going to get a certificate from Harvard, from Rutgers, from Miami, because it does say, certificate of, you are now a full stack web developer from Miami. It's just you didn't have to go through the admissions of Miami. You didn't have to go through the admissions of Harvard. You went through the admissions of Trilogy.
Yeah.
Which is called 2U.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely not promoting our company site, Trilogy Ed, or it's going to become, if you go to 2u.com, that's who bought us out. It's just the number 2 and then the letter U, 2u.com. It's not promoting either of those sites. It's really just trying to organically get people to search for like boot camp Miami, coding boot camp Miami, digital marketing online classes Miami, and where we show up for.
And when you say we, you mean on the Miami.edu website? Right,
but the subdomain, not the top.
I get that. So that then changes things then. So that's what I was asking, was that like what? So to me, I guess I'm still not full. So if somebody goes to, like, why are you building it out? So you don't want people to know about Trilogy?
No.
Interesting. How come?
It's just to them, I guess the prestige is more about the college.
Yeah.
So they want to put all the effort in that, the fact that like, come to Rutgers, come to Miami, come to Harvard, and learn to be a web developer, Joe the janitor.
Yeah, no, I get it's just
especially the guy that's never been able to go to college and afford college. Like now you can do this admissions, it's about $10,000 for the program, but not bad, that you're going to be able to get, training in as a web developer, and then you'll be able to get a new career.
You guys, that's interesting. Like I get it for sure. You guys are just sacrificing brand, like completely giving up brand, which I think is a huge mistake.
Interesting.
I get it. I get why. But I also see a tremendous shift in the fact that, like, especially people who are looking for like web design, web dev, UX, stuff like that,
right?
Don't really give a shit about colleges. You know what I'm saying? Like us agency hiring, like we actually would rather not hire someone who went to Harvard. You know what I'm saying? Because like, what does Harvard know about training a UX designer? You know what I'm saying? Um,
Yeah.
so, so I get it. I think it's a little bit of a old school mentality tactic, and I fully get it. I don't disagree with it because I do agree that there's a huge level of prestige to, um, and I mean even the fact that like you guys are working with schools like Harvard, like top tier schools, and getting them to host your content on their website
Yeah.
um, is a feat in itself. Like honestly,
Right.
so but I do think that you're giving up. You're just giving up you're giving up brand. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't really have a company yet that you can kind of, I don't want to say fall back on, but like, you know, to me, if so, like I'll just give you my, but like what I would do if it was me.
Okay.
What I would do if it was me, and I get like their monetization scheme here is that they're just saying we're going to leverage your brand. You're going to basically do all the legwork by hosting our content. We are going to handle all the you're just we're renting the space for you. That's who you're getting paid, and then we're handling all the back end stuff.
Right.
Um, but again, like you're missing out on kind of the whole brand aspect of it. If you know some of these universities decide that they don't want to do it anymore, then what happens? You know what I mean? Like to me, what you should be doing is you should be trying to rank your website for Bootcamp Miami, and be like, we are partnered with. So on your website, it would then say
Okay.
we're partnered with University of Miami. We're partnered with Harvard. Classes are at Harvard. You're getting the same thing, but you're building all that equity in your own company and in your own brand and your own domain. Like right now, um, it's not going to be worth the effort to rewrite all those landing pages. Like there's no SEO that you can really do here. You know what I'm saying? Because um, if you're not building on your website, tomorrow if Harvard decides that they don't want to do it, then that whole avenue is gone. You know what I mean?
Right.
But if you own that keyword on your website, you own that landing page for UX Bootcamp Boston, then you just go to BC, you go to BU, you just continue to flip through different universities and spaces. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
so what I would do is I would leave the content on those websites, which is fine, but like I would go to the people that you're working with, the executives, whoever, and try and sell them on the fact that you need to be building your own equity, you need to be building your own brand, and that is really where the SEO comes into play. So what you should be doing is you should be building out the infrastructure on your website. You should be building out the UX on your website that properly communicates what it is that Trilogy is, the partnerships that you have with these organizations, the fact that it's all on their campuses. And then you build out those dedicated landing pages for, all these different locations, all these different cities, and all the different programs that you have. So you're going to have, hundreds, thousands of different landing pages that are targeting local keywords in locations. And then based on, UX, dev, those would all be separate landing pages so you can rank specifically for those. And then you use those, you still host the content on all those .edu websites, because that gives you a clear-cut link building strategy from the best links in the whole world, right? So you still host the content on there, and it doesn't have to be a big button call to action. It could just be a little link at the bottom that says, training provided by Trilogy. And then you would link directly to those local pages. So like if you're on Harvard, right, then you would link directly to the UX, dev, whatever pages on Trilogy's website. So you're then building out that equity on your website. And then you can go out too. Again, like if then Harvard decides tomorrow, they're like, you know what, we don't want to host your content anymore. They rip it down. It's like, it doesn't matter because we're already ranking now. Our page is ranking for, UX training, Boston, UX training, Miami, all that different stuff. So
Interesting.
that's what I would do. Because right now, like I agree with both you guys. I agree with the people on the other side of the coin that are telling you it's kind of not worth the effort because it's not. And like I forget the word that you use, but it's just not doing anything. You know what I mean? Like I don't think those pages are going to get discovered. And even if they do, you're going to get paid for it. But it's kind of like you're not building lifetime value of customers. You're not building anything. You're just getting money. Which is a good short-term scheme. But like, dude, I'm just a huge brand person. Like brand is everything. In order to take the next step, it's not enough to just be like, we have partnerships with Harvard. It's like we have traffic, we have customers, we have people that trust Trilogy as a training. It's like what I'm trying to do with the blueprint. Like I want people to look at the blueprint as a brand, something that like people would be willing to put like a badge on their website saying like I was trained by the blueprint. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm striving
Yeah.
for. Not just like
Yeah.
SEO trainings here and there, but like no, it's blueprint as the brand, as a trusted source of training information, which will then allow me to pull myself out in 2 years, and then
Right.
cycle through other people. So that to me is what like the power of a brand. So that's, I mean, that's what I would do. And that's going to be a big conversation that you have with your executives to sell them on that. But
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
this is recorded. You can show it to them, this is just my advice for them. So.
Sure. Yeah, I mean that's definitely a direction that they're not.
Yeah, it's tough, and I get it, man. Like, because the way that they probably say it too is like we've spent years building relationships with these universities. They
Right.
trust us. Like, why would we take
Yep.
any other route? I wouldn't
Right.
say blow that up. I would say that's awesome. Let's keep that, but um, you know, why not do it for ourselves at the same time?
Now, like, how do we? So, like, when I dissected your Weber site, like, I saw how you did the local stuff, and which,
Mhm.
and I know it's recorded, so I'm not going to say what I saw.
Yeah.
But do I? So, like, basically, for these college campuses, we have the actual physical locations. For example, on Harvard, right? We have the exact physical location of where to go on the Harvard campus to go for these boot camp classes. If we build out a Boston coding page on Trilogy or 2U's site, right?
Mhm.
And then we specifically use that page to mention about Harvard. Do we still put down in the footer that Harvard location of where that class is going to be? Like, because
Yeah, I would. I
my
would.
classes.
So think of it this way. Just as a searcher, like if you're looking for you want to go into a classroom, right? Because there's two types of learning now. There's online learning, like the Blueprint, and then there's people who want like an SEO training in Miami who want to go to a physical location, like a boot camp, which is actually a bigger business than what I'm doing. It's a lot less effort for me, right? But so those people, if you're somebody who wants to go into a classroom and learn, you have to deconstruct and reverse engineer what should be on that page to make them want to convert. So 100%, like they want to know where it is physically, right?
Right.
And if it's on Harvard campus or BC or wherever it is, like, yeah, you should absolutely make sure that that's very well communicated. And again, that to me is a selling point of conversions too. It's like I would have specific call to actions that says like we are partnered with Harvard, we are partnered with University of Miami, like there are partners in this. Classes are run through there, and then like fine print, and like you can link to like an FAQ page or like a disclosure page where it says like you're not getting an accredited degree from there. But like definitely play to the fact that you have partnerships with these amazing universities and that you're being taught on Harvard's campus.
Yeah.
Um, and that's going to include, yeah, map embed. That's going to include.
Right. Like, is it worth trying to do a Google My Business?
I
That's
don't,
what I
I don't
probably not.
know.
Like, hide
So
the
like
map.
the good thing about this space is I would say like Google My Business is necessary. Like if you're an attorney in like
Yeah.
highly competitive spaces, like I do believe that, especially at like the hyper local level, I haven't done any research on this, but there's not enough. There's enough competition where like you don't have to the point
Right.
where like the maps pack might not even be triggering.
Right.
Like we worked for a couple of years with a, PMT project management bootcamp course, where it's actually like the same thing. This is actually I'll send you some links afterwards. A space that you should look into for like competitive research because it's very similar. They don't own any real estate. They don't have it. They basically will send instruction. They will actually rent like conference rooms at places. So similar to what you're doing. So on their website, and there's a ton of traffic for it. There's different certifications for project management professionals, PMPs, where they go and they take like a 2-week bootcamp course, and then you take like an accredited test, and then you pass. So they basically are guaranteeing if you take our 2-week seminar that you're going to pass this prestigious course, blah, blah, blah. And all they do is they promote it on their website with local landing pages that don't have physical like it doesn't even say the location because the location is yet to be determined. They just get people to
Right.
sign up ahead of time, but they
Right.
rank for that for like, PMP bootcamp, Miami, same thing, blah, blah, blah. And then based on the amount of bookings that they get during that time period, they'll just go out and they'll rent a conference room somewhere, like at a hotel, at an office space, whatever. So it's kind of similar, but the good thing is you guys are one step ahead. You have pre-built relationships that you can leverage from a selling point.
Yeah.
They didn't. They would just be like PMP bootcamp in Miami, like June 6th to 14th, and man, they were doing a couple million a year just off that. As a business. So yeah, I mean, it's a proven model that's been around for a while. And I guess my point was that they did like what we looked into a lot to see if they needed to get GMB locations.
Right.
But because the whole industry was doing the same thing, there was no maps pack triggering for those searches, so they didn't. It was just really more about like on-page optimizations, like getting schema review stars to pull through.
Right.
Like going through and like making their landing pages unique, stuff like that. the same stuff that you guys will end up going through if you go down this route. But I think you guys are in a much better space where it's not as competitive, and it's a very unique business model where you've got these partnerships
Right.
in actual physical locations to document. And hypothetically too, I mean, you could, if you make friends with a secretary or something, whoever's getting the mail, just, kind of like letting them know, it's doable, but I would say that would be like phase 3, phase 1 is
Right.
getting buy-in from executives. Phase 2 is building out the infrastructure. Phase 3 would be like, how do we, like, we're ranking, now how do we dominate, and that would probably
Right.
go through that process, and you might not even need to. So
Yeah, because like listening to you, I mean, I know we could list those physical addresses on there, but because they first had to go through the admissions of Trilogy or 2U,
yeah,
it's not like you can go knock on the door.
yeah,
Like, I'm here for the boot camp class.
yeah, exactly.
We could just, list out the physical address. I mean, we could even hide it to that degree. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I only started there, a couple of weeks, so it's hard to like really understand the strategy. I mean, between me and you, I mean, I know it's recorded, but it does seem like they're trying to possibly build a university down the road. But this is like the 20-year plan kind of.
The brand, though. I mean, that would be the big selling point. Like, the conversation to have is like, what's the 3, 5, 10, 20-year plan for this company?
Yeah.
I mean, especially if you're going for an acquisition, like, it's really hard to sell if you don't have a brand. You know what I'm saying? Like, that to me, like, what are you selling? You're selling your relationships with these universities that once a potential acquirer finds out that that's all you have, then that's an easy thing to usurp for themselves, if they know that Harvard's only incentive in this is they're getting basically paid a rental fee, then like that's open to anyone, like, what are you really building,
Yeah, because the 2U, the company that bought us out, like what they brought to the table was that they had the infrastructure to do these online courses. Like they had the infrastructure to do the online part of it.
Yeah.
And of course, you can also do master degrees, and then you can actually go up the scale in the college kind of world, right?
Yeah.
So where we're just offering like boot camp classes, but they actually can offer accredited courses that students can use for college credits and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a huge, like, the education space is wide open right now. I mean, that's like the blueprint is like a microcosm of what it could be if we did dedicate our full time to it. Like,
right,
alternative education, online education, it's going to be the next. It's a huge, especially after this education bubble burst while I was dead. Like, it's an amazing space to be in for sure. So I definitely think it's the right place to be. But I do think that my biggest thing would just be like, man, focus a little bit on yourself and your brand. You don't have to pivot your business model at all. Like, you keep the relationships open. It's just a small, and if you're already there working on like SEO and marketing, it's like, man, just let me go to work, let me build it.
Yeah.
That, you could have a huge impact on that company if you did that.
But it's interesting because it is the wild, wild west, with our field, right? In our industry, it's like, there isn't a standard yet. Like there hasn't, you and I go for traditional degrees in colleges. There's usually a standard, right? This is how you become an architect. This is how you an accountant. But like in our industry, you see it's just all over the place. Like they haven't standardized a process of this is how you become properly trained as a social media expert, as a PPC manager, as an SEO, right?
Yeah, it's so dynamic, I mean, the field. That's one of the things that we struggle with the blueprint is like, man, that's why we're like, we have built a roadmap for course refreshes because the content changes so fast. Like every year we have to go through and look at it and make sure it's still valid. So like, like big university, like I got my MBA, man, and like the first couple of courses, this is probably in like 2013 too. I was like, why are you guys still teaching supply chain management for like, if I'm going to build a factory here in the United, like this isn't the way shit works anymore. But to like build a whole curriculum, it's just like the world moves so fast now. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, how do you build a course on Instagram marketing, an accredited course? You can't, which is awesome for people like us because we understand the power of the internet and how to get things to market quick. And like, we can teach that and make money off of it. And that's what I'm saying too, is that like one of the things for the blueprint for me was not just making like another internet marketing course. Like I want this to be like basically like an accredited course on, SEO, marketing, agency building, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like what digital marketers doing, and they've been doing for years now. They just do an amazing job with it. They become like a legitimate source of like corporate training for this type of stuff.
Right.
And it's a humongous market that's still like at precipice of what it will be, you know?
I know. I just call it the Wild Wild West.
Hmm.
It really is like open game.
Absolutely.
And then that's the thing. It's like, I guess that's why, because I was asking them if they were going to branch off and said like other things. And like, no, we're just sticking to technology. And I get it, because that's where the immediate need is,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
How would you, so like the main navigation of if it was on Trilogy or 2U, I guess it would be on both, right? Because we shouldn't even give up the domain, the Trilogy ad, even though we're bought out, right? Like we shouldn't give up the domain.
I would. So if I'm looking now, if 2U is online, I would segment them to have 2U focus and like build the relevancy of being like online
Okay.
education. And if Trilogy is focused on the brick and mortar or just
The
offline
boot camp.
in-person courses, boot camps,
Yeah.
I would make this all boot camp keywords. Yeah.
And then would you just have like a location section on the main nav?
Yeah, I mean, so I see the programs now. I mean, this could
Yeah.
just be like a massive mega menu, or just like big splash page that lists out like programs, and then I would. Do you guys have like a designer UX person in house or no?
Yeah, we have the whole team in house.
Okay, yeah. I would definitely like this is a UX and SEO kind of like put your heads together and figure out the best experience for this. But like you're definitely going to want to have some sort of experience that combines programs, locations, and universities. I mean, universities can be its own tab. Again, that's more of like a selling point than an SEO thing, but you're going to
Okay.
want to figure out the best structure to have, whether you start with locations. So basically what you have to do is understand the data for what are people looking for first. Are they looking for program first? Or are they looking by location first? You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Whatever that is, that would be the top level nav. And you could have both too. You could have a programs page that just speaks like, these are the 8 programs that we offer, and then locations that has cities. And then within those cities, the actual courses. And like, I don't can they book through your website?
No, they have to call the phone and speak to our admissions,
Yeah, I mean that's another thing, man. Is that like
because it's a high price item. Like
how much is it?
it's like 10,000.
I mean, still, I mean, it's you'd be surprised, man. You'd be surprised. I
Pull
mean,
out a credit card.
it's well,
No
especially
problem.
too like it's more that like once people are fully educated and aware and ready to book, like it's just easier for them to book online,
Right.
so that
Sure.
might be something else you could look into, is like just like a cart edition on here too. Again, similar to what we do with the blueprint, it's super easy. And it reduces our level of support. Like we actually don't want you to call us because
Yeah.
you can get in Slack. We have support people in Slack and stuff like that, but that's a whole another department. But again, it depends on who your demographic is. If it's an older demographic, then people want to call. But if you're going after that
It's
younger
all over.
demographic,
It's
yeah,
it's a really wide variety
yeah,
demographic. You can imagine, right? It's your single
yeah,
mom
absolutely.
janitor. Then it's the guy that retired and he just wants
Yeah.
to learn something else.
Which is also why I think marketing is so important for you guys, because if it is such a wide demographic, then marketing is how you can hone in on scaling up your sales, because like basically you can focus on marketing messaging for, we're going through this with one of our clients now where they do an in-home vet service, and they are like dead set on having their demographic be like 45 to 65, like wealthy females, but their data is showing that it's actually like a heavy split between that demographic and 18 to like 28 people who just want the
Okay.
convenience of it. You know what I'm saying? So what we're doing is we're just like basically creating 2 different, completely different marketing messages for that company. One being convenience, the other being like high quality vets in home.
Right.
And we're playing on those 2 marketing messages, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To go after both, which is awesome. I mean, it's a good thing to know who your demographic is, but if it applies to a bunch, like this is one of the true things that, like you said, like it could be like somebody, who's who's all jacked up on Gary Vee videos, 55 years old and wants to change their life, and
Right.
versus somebody else who's like, I can't afford to go to college. Like, and I don't want to learn political science. So I'm going to go do something functional and go get a job, making
Right.
70 grand a year right off the bat. So it's a wide range, but that also allows you to then just get super surgical with marketing, advertising, all that different stuff. But again, like you guys can't advertise if you don't have a brand, because what are you going to advertise to? Like you're going to drive traffic to Harvard's website, like
It's a good point.
you're
Yeah.
just you're just missing out on a huge opportunity by not building a brand and an experience that like people can see and relate to. And like, yeah, advertising to me would be like your number, like SEO traffic is great. Don't get me wrong, but like you could be advertising the shit out of this and making money off of it right away, but you can't send that traffic to somebody else's website.
Yeah, I mean, because that's all we've been focusing on, because, I'm in the same boat as you about keywords. I believe it's relevant, qualified traffic,
Yeah.
because keyword rankings are always just fluctuating, but that's kind of the model that we're under right now. And it's like, believe it or not, these subdomains, they are ranking for,
Yeah, they'll pick up. They'll pick up. And that's what I'm saying too, is that like, I think to me, that's just the icing on the cake for you guys. It's like, yeah, we get to be on Harvard's website. Like,
Right.
if it's going to rank, it's going to rank. That's awesome. That's a good way for us to generate additional revenue. But that to me should not be the business model. The business model should be building Trilogy and 2U into their own standalone education companies, that people seek out on their own, that you can advertise for, you can build content around. Like right now, you're just basically saying like, yeah, people are going to book at Harvard because they're going to book at Harvard and we're going to make good money off of it. But there's absolutely no equity in that strategy. There's just none.
You're right. No, you're right. Yeah, because we're just banking on the fact that, it's funny because that's the sell of it. That's the prestige. Like,
yeah.
It's Harvard. We're partnering with Harvard, but like not all the universities are that glamorous.
No, but I think because the education space is competitive, as is, but like that is, to me, that's your selling point. That's not the business model. What you guys are playing on now, that's a selling point. Where it's like, if I'm looking at 4 different UX courses, one of them being like by some guy online like myself, another one being,
Right.
boot camp, another one being, Trilogy, who's partnered with Harvard and served it. Like, I'm 100% going to go to Harvard,
Yeah.
but you guys are just hacking off a whole marketing strategy, a whole discovery strategy, whole brand strategy. Like, you're just really funneling all your chips into this one strategy, which to me, it's more of a conversion point than like a attraction point. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, you're right. Because you said that Harvard could pack up tomorrow. All these colleges could pack up tomorrow. That was the first question when I came on board. I was like, what's going to stop them from creating their own curriculum and courses? And basically they were telling me that, believe it or not, universities move very slow when it comes to
of course,
trends and curriculum.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I mean, especially prestigious universities like that. That's going to take them a while. But I think they're going to have, if in all fairness though, if traditional universities want to stay competitive in the next 30, 40 years, like they're going to have to,
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they're going to have to do distance learning. They're going to have to lower their price points. I mean, Harvard is different. Like, I think like the 10% of schools at the top don't have to do shit, but like the other 90% are going to have to make a huge pivot. And like, part of that is like looking at their curriculum, like teaching stuff that actually is going to help people make money in this world.
Right. It's not so much theory, it's applicable.
Yeah. Which to me is also like the exit strategy. I mean, that to me is also like an exit strategy for the blueprint, is that like my long-term 10-year goal with that is to license that to universities. You know what I mean?
Right.
To be like, we're going to continuously update this. All you have to do is hit our API and pull these videos into your online course. And that's that.
Exactly.
So like, if you guys don't have that, if you don't have the brand, if you're just kind of like, yeah, we're just working off rental money from Harvard, then, who's ultimately going to acquire you? Which to me is like, the exit strategy is like, yeah, we'll sell this to Harvard in the future for $100 million, or all these different universities. We're just license out our material to these people. So,
right.